The housing market is crashing, people are taking huge losses on homes, and people are also burning homes down. So let's get into everything that's going on in this completely insane housing market. And now we have the mainstream media that is coming out and saying, guess what? And it's actually not the mainstream media, it's the Canadian Real Estate Association, which is essentially meant to be the smart people in the room. They're the people with all the data and the numbers. And they're saying the housing market cracking is to do with tariffs now. So it was immigration, then it was population growth, and then it was we're just not building enough homes, and now it's tariffs, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, I mean, this is just hilarious. But biggest leap in new supply on record going back to the 1980s. Now that really is something of note. And just to show you on a chart where Canadian home prices are right now, they peaked out around February, March 2022, which might I add was after the Bank of Canada hiked like 50 basis points at that time. So to say it's all interest rates is completely ridiculous. It's all sentiment based as it is in an emotional housing market bubble. And then since then, you basically had the prices that have come down significantly and then they've just stagnated. You had a little bit of a bull trap that happened in 2023, and since then it's pretty much stagnated. And obviously in real terms, as we know on this channel, the price is actually heading down here because the money is being devalued, as we all know on this channel. So it's very interesting what they're saying here. So uncertainty around tariffs and a potential trade war with the United States were the likely culprits behind home sales falling off during the last week of January, according to the Canadian Real Estate Association. That weakness pushed national sales down 3.3% compared to December, the Canadian Real Estate Association said again in their latest housing report. At the same time, newly listed properties jumped 11% month over month in January, uncommon for the typically slow winter season, reflecting the largest seasonally adjusted monthly increase in the new supply on record going back to the late 1980s, the report said, aside from the swings during the pandemic. So what's really interesting about this is basically when you think about what's going on here and you think about the fact that the yield curve was the most inverted it's been since the 1990s recession, and this was way back in December 2022. As you guys know, I've been on this very, very early because it was very easy to see. It's not because I'm a genius or I'm smart, because I'm really not. It's just because anybody could have seen this coming through the emotion of what was going on. And something that's really of note that they mention here is about the slowdown during the winter season. Because if you cast your mind back to the mania and the bubble when everybody was buying real estate and it was real estate is just heading to the moon, guys. It's just heading to the moon and it's never coming back. Well, guess what? During December, January, February, those were some of the strongest months for sales and some of the lowest months for inventory. So, you know, the fact that they're saying, oh, it's just because it's winter, I don't buy that. Because if you're in a mania or a bubble, it doesn't really matter. You don't really see those seasonal swings. They don't really happen. And that's exactly what happened in 2021 and 2022. And it's when you saw all these people buy that Shazzy puts on his X profile, great person to follow, who bought right here, January 2022, February 2022, March 2022. And these are a lot of the people that Shazzy is rightly posting that are having these massive losses. Well, guess what? When did they buy? They bought during those 3, 4, 5 months at the top, and now they're completely underwater, exactly like this. So blood in the water. This Oakville seller is bleeding out, taking a $350,000 loss on a pre-con home. They bought it at $2.67 million, now scrambling to offload at $2.31 million before the real pain begins. How many more like this before the dam break? And we're already seeing the dam break. We're already seeing the banks are trying to fiddle things now with blanket appraisals. That is happening. And not only that, People are so desperate, and we've covered this multiple times. So please, this isn't just anecdotal. We've done so many videos on people burning down homes. It's not just a coincidence that they're heading into new construction homes. It's because guess what? They're hoping to burn it down before they complete on the sale, so the home's not there, so it doesn't get built, and maybe they don't have to complete because guess what? They're not going to get the appraisal for the mortgage and be able to follow through on that home because they were hoping to just sell the home like an option as an assignment because it was just pure speculation, an unregulated speculation, might I add, which is completely hilarious. It was just a casino essentially with these assignment sales. So Table Salt, really good guy or gal to follow on X here, and he rightly puts this video where you can see these two gentlemen walking towards the home, obviously setting it alight, and this is two unfinished homes in the York region, which are probably in the region of like $1.5 to $2 million when they were purchased, and now they're probably worth, you know, $1 million, $1.2 million, something like that. So there's probably a huge gap, and we're not just talking about small numbers here. That's the thing. When these appraisals are coming in, they're coming $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 short, as we covered last week with the story of that guy who I think lost about $400,000. Just imagine losing that amount of money. It's absolutely insane, and no pun intended here, but you're playing with fire when you buy into these manias, and that's exactly what people did. And the other thing that I really want to show you as well, which is going on, is Calgary. Now, the Calgary Real Estate Association basically puts these statistics out, and they update them daily. They're probably one of the best markets in Canada for statistics just because they update them daily here. So the Calgary Real Estate Board is actually doing some good stats here. And what you can basically see right now is February 2025 over here. You can see that sales are down 21.47%. You can see new listings, they're only off 2.16%. So obviously that's huge weakness there. But if you look at active listings here, 3,951, that's a 69% increase in active inventory year over year. But get this, this is the biggest inventory that you've had in February going all the way back to 2021. And the Calgary housing market was not strong in February 2021. And you've got these sales that are declining and declining and declining. And again, the Calgary housing market. Let's talk about the narratives there. First, it was the oil prices are high and the oil and gas sector is booming, and I was the first one to pull that argument completely apart. Then it was population growth and everybody's moving to the province, and I guess that was partly to blame, but mostly not the case. As you guys know, these narratives are nothing more than narratives in most cases. But the reality, like all the other bubbles, has always been the speculation. And you see that when it comes to the rentals, because what I like about Calgary is, again, if you look at the rentals, which is a key indication of how much speculation is going on. Obviously, if you've got a huge increase in the number of listings for rentals, then you probably got a lot of speculation going on, because who is buying those rentals? It's mostly going to be speculators. So basically, if you look at what's happened in Calgary, you had listings that were scraping the barrel at lows in 2022 and 2023. And obviously the Calgary housing bubble boomed after that, all these narratives that were spun around it. But it was never the narrative that there was loads of speculators and investors who were buying rental properties. But guess what? That's exactly what was happening. And then you basically seen the number of listings explode until you're at 9,000 listings in February, and there is no seasonal variance at all. The listings have just gone up and up and up and up and up, and you're at 9,000 rental listings right now in Calgary. And the number of listings in the previous year, in 2024, was 5,383. So that's nearly double. So this just goes to show the complete insanity of what's going on here. And then if you look at rents, what's going on? Guess what? they are trending down. They're lower than last year. You know, they're off 5 to 10%. So in real terms, again, the people who bought all these rentals are getting demolished here. They're absolutely getting ruined in places like Calgary, which were the places that were going to boom forever. You know, one of my favorite narratives about the Calgary housing bubble was definitely the one where people were saying, oh yeah, you know why Calgary's going to go up forever? Because the prices are lower than Toronto. I mean, come on. I mean, if you believe that complete horse shit, then literally you deserve to get wrecked by this, unfortunately, because it really only takes somebody with 3 brain cells to pick apart that narrative. I mean, Calgary is not Toronto, and Toronto is not Calgary. They're 2 separate places, 2 separate economies, 2 separate markets. They might as well be in different countries. So it's absolutely hilarious when people say stuff like that, and you have all these narratives. And the reason why I'm making this video right now is to document it all, because, you know, there's going to be bubbles in the future all over the world. Might not be in Canada again for a fair while, but guess what? They're all going to have narratives. I've seen the narratives in the US in some places which are in huge bubbles, and I've seen it in Mexico and all over the world, quite frankly, in overvalued housing markets. And in fact, that's one of the ways you tell whether it's an overvalued housing market, because normally the undervalued markets, guess what? There's no narrative. There's no people begging you to buy. There's no pre-construction projects that are selling out before they even start doing the foundation. So it's just crazy. And this housing bubble, people continue to get wrecked and demolished, and that's only going to continue, guys. As we know, this is only just getting started, as the wheels are coming off the economy right now as well, and have been for the past 2 years. So anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, I'd highly recommend that you check out this video here. And if you're looking for a VPN and also want to help support the channel, then go to expressvpn.com/marketmania. Thank you so much for your support, and I will see you in the next one.